Last week, the Treasury put out a tweet publicising some of the measures it had implemented in the recent mini-budget. Or was it a fiscal event? It's hard to keep up with the changes, isn't it? This tweet said that a typical first-time buyer in London moving into a representative terraced house will save £11,250 on stamp duty. It also said that they would save over £1,000 on energy and £400 in tax if they earned £30,000. It was an interesting tweet for a couple of reasons, so we got in touch with the Treasury to get some details. We particularly wanted to know what a representative terraced house in London meant and how much would it cost. We put the More or Less team on the case, and here to explain what they found is Charlotte MacDonald. Hello, Charlotte.
Hi, Tim. So, the Treasury told us that this saving is based on buying a house in London that costs just under £550,000. And it is true that as a first-time buyer, if you do this now, you'll pay £11,250 less in stamp duty than you would have done if you'd bought the same house for the same price a few weeks ago.
OK, brilliant. Case closed. You've got that look in your eyes, Charlotte. The case isn't closed, is it?
Of course it isn't. This saving is only so large because the Treasury tweet looks at a house with a particular price. Because of the way stamp duty thresholds have been structured, if the house had been less than £500,000, then the saving would have been £5,000 less, just £6,250. And if that house had been more than £625,000, the saving would have been even less than that, only £2,500.
Do you think the Treasury deliberately chose to highlight a house at the perfect price to make the saving look as big as possible?
You may think that. I couldn't possibly comment.
Charlotte, you've pointed out the elephant in the room, but I can't help feeling there's another even larger elephant in the room trying to hide behind the first elephant. Undercover elephants all the way down.
What are you talking about, Tim?
Well, the original tweet talked about this applying to someone earning £30,000, but how on earth could someone earning £30,000 buy a house worth nearly £550,000? Isn't that more than 18 times that person's earnings?
Yeah. The typical rule of thumb for years has been that banks will let you borrow between 4 and 5 times your annual salary. So someone on 30 grand could borrow between £120,000 and £150,000.
Right, let me consult my trusty calculator. And that leaves a gap of about £400,000 to make up, which is a big deposit.
Exactly. And according to Halifax, the average deposit for a first-time buyer in London last year was £115,000. So if our buyer had that deposit, they would actually need to earn in the region of £100,000 a year to buy this mythical house on their own.
Wow. But the Treasury tweet said this person earned £30,000.
Well, it used to. The Treasury has now taken down that tweet. We asked why they deleted the tweet, and they said, while the figures used were statistically accurate, we recognise that certain assumptions were made about the profile of the typical first-time buyer which were not reflected in this tweet.
Certain assumptions? What could these certain assumptions be?
Well, we've covered that. The assumption that makes all the numbers add up is that this first-time buyer had a deposit of around £400,000, which may not be completely typical.
Indeed not. Well, thank you, Charlotte.